Alright guys, so I am back with another maintenance video. Today I'm going to be changing the oil in the bus. This is just good overall maintenance for anybody to learn. Everybody knows that you need to get oil changes, and they know it's good for their engine, but they don't exactly know what it does. I'll get like a list for you to go over, but the main thing is it keeps everything lubricated, obviously. It also helps cool the engine, and regular oil changes will help keep contaminants from building up in the engine. So as your engine gets mileage and more wear and tear, some of the metals inside the engine will break down, main bearings, rod bearings. That's normal, it's going to happen, but if you keep up with your oil changes, you can help eliminate the amount of damage that it does. You can help slow it down and keep the process from speeding up and cause permanent damage to the engine. I called around today just to see about how much it would cost to get the oil change done on this particular one. This one's got the 6.5 diesel in it. Takes about 8 quarts of oil and just a regular spin-on cartridge oil filter. It was gonna run me between $80 and $120, depending on who I took it to and whether they use synthetic or conventional. I bought everything for about 40 bucks. Two gallon jugs of diesel oil and a filter. It's about $40. I bought a couple other things, but that wasn't for this vehicle. So you can go anywhere though to get it. AutoZone, Advance, O'Reilly's, Napa, they can look up the amount of weight it takes, the oil filter, and the process is the same for pretty much all the vehicles. You just drain it, change the filter, top it back off. But it's an unnecessary expense. At least in my opinion, it's unnecessary expense to pay someone to do when it's as simple as it is. And I know a lot of people worry about making messes and stuff, but you can get they got these mats called pig mats. You can throw it underneath the bus before you do your oil change, and it'll absorb any oil that misses the pan. So if you're worried about making a mess somewhere, you don't have to. You just throw those under there, put your oil pan on top of it, and drain it out. But let's get to it. I'll show you what we got to do on these. All right, so right up here, most vehicles will show this. This is diesel, so 1540 is the most common oil weight for them. There are some that take just synthetic. They have 1040, they have 530. So just be aware of that. On these ones, you got the dipstick tube right here and the trans fluid one right here. We're not doing anything with that one. This one we can check though and see. This thing never had an oil change after I got it. It was at the mileage, and when I first got it, it looked okay, so I didn't bother with it, but let's check and see. Oh, it's not gonna focus. Yeah, that's pretty gross. See, it's not just the coloring of it, that's the color of the oil. It's just black. So we're gonna throw that back in there, get underneath there, get the oil coming out, and refill it with some fresh stuff. All right guys, we are under the bus now. There is the drain pan bolt and the oil filter. Majority of the vehicles, drain bolts are on the oil pan. There are some that aren't on it. Some have oil coolers and oil filter relocation kits, and there's all kinds of other stuff. But majority of your vehicles are gonna have it underneath that, as well as the buses and all of them. So this is a 6.5, so the oil filter on Chevys are almost always in the back left corner of the engine on the driver's side. So it's a good place to start. If you don't have it there, you might have an oil cooler. Could be relocated somewhere else. It looks like I have an oil leak, so I'm gonna have to dig into that and find out where it's leaking at. But yep, we're just gonna pop that drain bolt off, let it start draining out. When most of it drains out, we will take the filter off and top it off. Oh man, someone tighten this up hard. Oh, whew. Someone did not want this to come off. All right. Let's see what kind of black gold we got coming out of this thing. Starting to drip. Super impressed if you can get your hand out of the way without getting oil on it. Let's see if I can do it. I did it. Yeah, that's gross looking. Let's let it drain out. It's not milky looking though, so that's good. Never want to see milky looking oil. Never a good thing. This is black. It's not good looking, but it's just black, so that's good. And we'll let that drain out and get back to it when it stops. While that's draining, I'm gonna show you all this awesome socket. I have a bunch of these. These are awesome. They just go on the end of your ratchet. I have all kinds of different sizes and stuff from all the cars I've worked on over the years. But these ones are awesome. They just go on there. Don't have to worry about the strap. It acts like a socket. It's got the little notches inside it. Just go around the ring of it right there. I said a lot of people overcomplicate oil changes. If you're not comfortable doing it, obviously don't do it. But this is one of those things that it's easy to do. I've shown a lot of people how to change their oils just because they wanted to learn. It felt like they weren't getting their money's worth from shops getting paid to change theirs for them. So hopefully this helps some of y'all as well. Another thing you can do to help speed up it draining out sometimes is pop this cap off. It relieves all the pressure. Let's see if mine will come off easy. Probably won't, because why would it? There it goes. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but 1540. It is hot today. I don't know where y'all are at in the country, but it is hot over here on the East Coast. Around the world. I know I got some people watching, and saw someone from the Philippines was watching. I was like, that's pretty cool. Made it across the ocean. Yeah. Look at it. Almost done draining. Let's try that maybe. Okay, yeah. I usually have a stand, but I kind of broke it. So I use the jug of oil. Oh. Hope I don't get in the way too much. I'm gonna try and stay off to the side so we can get the full view of it. Goes right on the end of the ratchet. It's awesome. I love them. Oh, do I put that in my way? Alright. Let's see if these people over-torqued this when they did it. No, they did not. Oh my gosh, that's impressive. Awesome. This is going to have oil in it too. So what we'll do is slide this over a little bit right there. We'll try and catch it. If you pull the oil filter off and you don't see oil, that's not a good sign. That means your oil pump might not be pumping as strong as it should, because that's where the oil should go after the pan. Pump will pump it up into there and filter out. So if you take your oil filter off and no oil comes out, you got something else going on. That would be worth taking to a shop. But we're good, we got oil coming out. Gross. Gross. I'm just gonna drop that in there. Oh, that's gross. Alright, let
let it finish draining, and then we'll get this stuff cleaned up and put everything back together. Alright guys, so it's pretty much done draining out now. So what we're gonna do is put the drain bolt back in there first. Normally I'd put a new washer on there, but I forgot to get one, so it's not getting one this time. But it should be okay. Okay. Alright, there we go. And then we're going to throw the new filter on. Oh, I know there's a lot of people that want to put oil around the ring. I've never had an issue not doing it, but you can do that if you want to. And some people say to refill it, but honestly, after a couple pumps of it priming, it should automatically fill up on its own. Not priming, but your initial, when you first turn it over a couple times, it should fill this automatically, if everything's working right. And you want it hand tight. So don't go in there, tighten it on there, and then just keep tightening and tightening. You only need it hand tight because it's going to tighten up on its own. So let's get this off of that. Grab the socket. Where did I put it? I don't know which one it is. I wasn't sure on the side, so I grabbed two. Cool, there it is. Then we'll pull it out and look at the oil and see how gross it is. Same with this, you don't need to over tighten it, just tighten it to where it cinches up. Boom. You're good. Yeah, we're good. Alright. Alright. Awesome. Alright, let's get it from under here, pull this out, and check out the oil. See all the stains from all my other vehicles that I've had. But we're talking about this one today. So, there's the oil. It's not the prettiest, but I don't see a lot of shiny stuff in there. I don't have any napkins right now, but normally what I'll do to check, especially after an engine I've just got done building or something, I'll take a piece of paper towel, and stick it in there, and then shine a flashlight through it and see how bad it sparkles. Should not. It's just gonna have a little bit of sparkle just from like the bearings inside of the engine getting worn, but it shouldn't have a crazy amount. There's also companies you can actually mail off samples of your oil to, and they can tell you what your engine's doing, how it's running and how it's performing. So there's a lot of different things you could do and learn from your oil. This one it obviously just needed a new oil change. Nothing crazy floating around in it. There's a little bit of, I think that's just from me though, right there. Yeah, that's just from underneath there. But it's not horrible. And now we just gotta top it off. Alright guys, so I didn't actually have any funnels, big funnels. I got a bunch of transmission ones that would go down into this tiny tube here to fill that up. Normally I'm doing oil changes on my wife's car and stuff. I haven't had to do one without individual quarts in a while, so I don't have any small funnels. But what I did do was cut the bottom off of this water bottle, and it'll work perfectly fine for what we're doing. And this takes 8.05 quarts. No, I didn't get all of the oil out because it's almost impossible to get all the oil out. So I'm going to use that as my 0.05 and just top it off with these 2 gallons. Boom. The color difference between new oil and old oil is amazing. So this video doesn't just necessarily pertain to diesels or Skoolies or anything like that. This is just This is basic maintenance on any vehicle, unless you got like a Lamborghini or Ferrari. Those got a million bolts you got to take off. You got to drain it off in like 20 or 30 different spots, and you got covers you got to take off and all that fun stuff. But for your everyday Joe like me that's got basic runaround cars, and the only difference between this one and a big rig is the amount of oil and drain pan you need. Also, you can tell if your oil's getting old by the oil pressure in it. The older your oil gets and the more that you lose, your oil pressure will drop. When your oil pressure starts dropping too much, then you can start having issues. So keep an eye on that oil pressure gauge along with the temp gauge. It's just as important as that temp gauge. Honestly, I would rather see my temp gauge spike than my oil gauge bottom out. It's a lot easier to turn a car off and cool it down versus having to find out why you don't have any oil pressure anymore. Just changing oil pumps is not fun. That is done. And when you get done with your old oil, you can take it, put it in your old jugs that you just poured the new oil in with. Take it to any auto parts store. Scrap yards can usually take it, and majority of the dump yards, like where they take your trash and stuff, landfills, that's the word. Landfills will take it too. But let's go see how it looks now. Let's go check the oil pressure. All right, let's see what it does. Go. Sometimes it takes a minute for the gauge to read, but we are good. You want it. That's a good idle speed for this engine. I've seen some of them get more towards 60, but 40 is. So out of all these 6.5, I've owned a couple 6.5s and 6.2s. That's a good spot for it to be at when you're driving. It should probably drop down to about 30, 20. Let's see what happens when you put a load on it. We're good. Fresh oil change. Yeah, see, it's going up a little bit more. Awesome. Alright, well, we are done with the oil change today. I know a lot of people get nervous about doing their own oil change and stuff, but it's honestly as simple as I just did it. You take the filter off, take the drain pan out, let it all drain out, put a new filter on, put new fluid in it. And like I said, it's the same on the small ones as it is on the big ones. It's just the amount of oil you have to put back into it and the amount that comes out. You might need a bigger drain pan, but I hope that kind of helps get rid of some of your fears of doing it yourself. Just I feel like it's one of those things that you don't have to pay a shop to do unless you absolutely want to or just are that scared of doing it, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But if this video helped out, just let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and if you're new, hit the subscribe button so you keep following along, see where we go next.